A basic introduction to propositional logic. Demonstration 8.2, condensed table. The table rules. Using the terms P and Q, the not is a monadic, so it will only connect to one of them, and it flips the truth value, right? If it's true, it'll be false. If it's false, it'll be true. For the other ones, they're dyadic connectors, so you have P or Q, it'll always be true because only one of them has to be true. The only case where it's false is where both of them are false. The and is the opposite. It's always false because even if one of them is false, the entire thing's false. The entire conjunction is false. However, the only time the and is true is when both terms are true. The arrow, so P going to Q, it's always going to be true unless true goes to false. That's the only case where arrow is false. For double arrow, you just have to compare, do they have the same truth values, whether true or false? So if they have both trues, it'll be true. If they have both false, it'll be true as well. However, if there's any mix or combination, if they don't match, then it will be false. Problem 118, not A or B and not C or D, therefore not A and C. So step one, you check how many terms you have. So in this case, we have 4 letters, right? A, B, C, and D. That means 4. Step 2, set up your table. Based on your terms, you'll need 2 to the nth number of rows to test for all possibilities. In this case, it'll be 16. So let's just do a condensed table. A condensed table doesn't show every single possible value, but you kind of have to work it backwards, okay? You start with your terms, you put A, B, C, and D, put a gap in your table, and then you put the argument there, right? Your premises and your conclusion. Keep the turnstile with the conclusion to show this is the conclusion, right? Now, in this case, we only have one premise. It's just a really long one. It's only one premise, right? So that's why we have only one column and then one column for the conclusion. Since we're checking for validity, remember, what is a valid argument? We really just need to test to see if it's possible for the premises to be true and the conclusion false, right? So that's the only thing we're really testing for anyway, even if we do an entire full truth table with 16 rows. But we don't yet know which cases are going to show that, so that's why we have A, B, C, and D blank. So go ahead and put a true premise and a false conclusion, put those values in, because that's what we're testing for. That is the validity test, right? Is it possible to have all true premises, in this case only one premise? Is it possible to have the premise be true and the conclusion false? If it's possible, that means it's a bad argument. That means it is invalid. But if it's not possible, that means it will be a good argument. So let's do that test. Step 3, you have to start figuring out the values. Now we need to find the values for A, B, C, and D and see if this can work. So start with the conclusion since it's simplest, right? If you compare the premise and the conclusion's obviously simpler. Now, what you're trying to get there is that value has to be false. So for that to be false, you see that you have a dash, right? Dash A and C. So for that dash to be false, you flip it, right? So then we know that has to be true in order to flip it to false. So we're going to have to get dash true, not true, to be false, right? So we work backward and say, okay, for that to be false, we need the not to be in front of something that's true. And what's inside the parentheses is A and C. So we know that the entire thing after the negation has to be true because we're going to put a dash there. And the only way the conjunction, the A and C, will be true is if both terms are. Remember, for and, both have to be true in order to be true. So the only way that A and C can be true is if A and C are both true, right? You can't have true and false for and. That won't work. Okay, so that's why we go back and we say, okay, so A and C both have to be true, and we place those values in. Now, going to the premise part, right, looking at the big not A or B and not C or D. For this to be true, again, going backward, we have to have that the values there are the opposite, would be not false, because we have those dashes there. We have to do the opposite, right? So not false and not false, which would be true. So for this premise to be true, it's a big conjunction. Notice that, right? It's very important to see, is it an and, is it an or, is it an arrow? Both parts are negated, and so those must be false, okay? But because the formulas inside the parentheses are ors, it's much more difficult, right? We know that for or to be true, only one of them has to be true. So we know A and C are already true. We've assigned those already there, right? So it doesn't even matter what B and D are. They could be true or they could be false, but you're not going to be able to get false there, right? Because for or, only one has to be true in order to make it true. So there's no way those are going to be false. And so you're not going to get the not false, and you're not going to be able to flip that to true. Step 4, check for validity. So going back to our test, is it possible for this argument to have true premises, in this case only the one, and a false conclusion? The answer is no. In the case where A and C are true and where B and D are true or false, they could be any value, right? This argument cannot have a true premise and false conclusion. It's not going to work, right? You're going to have to bend the rules. You couldn't make it fit. So it is actually a good argument. It is valid. It was not possible to have true premises and a false conclusion. Here's the final answer worked out with the final judgment as valid.